Hello and welcome to the Ring Rumble podcast. My name is Brad.
My name is V.
Today we're going to discuss the Royal Rumble. Pretty good. It had its moments. It had its moments. There was some pretty cool entrants that came in, both for the men and women's.
I disagree.
At least I thought so. And so let's go into the first.
No. Let's do the Rumbles last.
Oh.
I don't care much for the other two matches. I mean, the Cody and Kevin one was good, but I guess I'll start first with the D.I.Y. Motor City one. All I gotta say is I wrote everything out this time because, my lord, I have so many thoughts about this stuff. But this first match, it was decent. It wasn't like an amazing match that these guys could have totally put on generally. Weird finish. I'm not quite sure if this is like a heel move for the Street Profits, having been involved in the conclusion of this match. I don't assume so because it didn't seem like they were targeting any specific team. They hit one member of each. And, obviously they want to get the title. I just thought it was pretty, a little stupid, a little foolish for them to do it right now in the Rumble. But, it is what it is. I mean, sure. It was kind of weird that they haven't been in the picture lately.
We're kind of wondering where they were anyways, and I guess that just kind of explains it, that they just kind of took a step away, maybe rebranding themselves. Maybe they're going to just be more aggressive and not as fun-loving. So
right, and then they also lost, like, the BFAB thing, and that whole thing just kind of disintegrated.
Right.
Yeah, it was whatever.
Yeah.
I would say a 3 at best.
Yeah, 3.
It was just pretty average, basic.
Yeah.
It could have been better. For the Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens ladder match, that was the best match of the night, to be honest.
It was a great match.
It was a really great match. There was, like, great bumps, crazy. It was, like, slow at the beginning a bit. After they, made their way around the whole, like, or how around the arena and fighting there, like, that's when things really started to pick up. And it occurred really fast, too. And we had our theories as well, because I did say that Kevin Owens would win or whatever. Obviously, clearly not. That's not what happened, right?
Right.
But we were even hypothesizing, like, maybe Kevin would take a spot from somebody, but just the way that the match ended itself, there was just no way he was getting up from that.
No, they actually did do the X sign.
Yeah.
I mean, so he actually got medical attention needing to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Aldis did it right away, which was weird that they showed the angle, but he did the sign.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that last bump he took, where his head went right through the yeah, that was pretty nasty.
Yeah, it was. But it was good. I would give it like a 4.
Oh yeah, for sure.
4.2 maybe, because the bumps were just really gross.
The bumps were really good. It was a good match.
Yeah.
It definitely showed that Cody can do those extreme matches, and it makes me kind of think that he could be wrestling some other guys and having matches like that too.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously it's Kevin Owens and he's a pro and he knows how to not hurt anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, good match. I would say a 4.2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So just moving on to the more important parts of the event last night, but we'll start with the women's Rumble. I have a lot more to say about the men's, so the women's one is just easier to get out of the way. Do you want to start with anything, and then I go afterwards?
I was just basically going to just say that, like, I thought for the most part the women's was a good Rumble, particularly in the idea that there was a lot of people that came out that got to have, like, an opportunity to show their skills. Lash Legend came out at number 9, and she actually got a nice, decent pop. For the most part, she did show that her strength. Thought that was pretty good. I also thought that when Jada Parker came out at 16, that was also pretty cool as well, just because of the fact that she has a good little upbringing in NXT. Seems like it was good to see her come out as well. Obviously, the ones that were the big deal was number 19, which was Jordan Grace. That was awesome. She looked great.
Yeah.
The crowd was really down. The crowd was like a big pop for her. Thought that was really cool. Obviously, one that everyone was talking about online was number 21 entrance was with Alexa Bliss. Mm-hmm. That was actually very shocking. Even myself, I was just kind of like, wow, like, really? Like, she actually is back. Seemed like it's a cool thing. A lot of people really liked her. Obviously, there's a couple that I thought was very surprising. Stephanie Vercoeur coming out at 24 was kind of strange. I mean, it was good, but it was also just kind of like, unless he was gonna, hold something and do something more with it, then I guess it would have been a little bit better. Obviously, Julia also coming out at 28 was also very weird, but also understandable because she is the champion, and they got to have people see that. And there was a couple of little storylines that kind of happened there with her and Io. Thought that was kind of interesting. Kind of something to look forward to down the road. Unfortunately, we did say that we were thinking Io was going to be the dark horse, but then she came out at number 1, so it was kind of like...
Yeah, it made things a little bit less.
It was a little bit less. I mean, and then obviously Charlotte Flair coming on at 27, who eventually wins the whole thing. I mean, the entire walk up of Charlotte Flair from the entrance was just long and drawn out, and she had a limp when she came in. I was kind of like, oh boy. Still had the brace, but it was bedazzled. And, yeah, she, obviously we kind of knew that Charlotte Flair was going to win, but it wasn't that great, obviously, that she pulled it off. And I know a lot of people online didn't like it either, but overall, I thought it was cool. We got to see a couple of people, got to see, Alexa Bliss, got to see some people from NXT come up and show their skills. Roxanne Perez did a very good job at number 3, and she was pretty much there all the way to the end. Mm-hmm. So that just shows that they really, really have a lot of, there's a lot of potential for her down the road. And I was surprised Jade Cargill didn't show up. I was actually thought that she was going to, but I don't know why that didn't happen. Yeah, but that's my thoughts on it. Overall, I would just say if I was going to rank it on a system, I would probably just give it a nice 3.5. There had some moments. The ending was kind of a little bit lame also because it was also predictable. So that's my take.
All right, this is what I have to say about this. The part that I like the most and the part that I feel like Royal Rumble should prioritize, and this is going to be something that I'm going to repeat with the men's one especially, because this one was more digestible for the fact that it had NXT stars, many of them that were present in this female one. Jada Parker, Lash Legend, Julia, Stephanie Vaquer, Roxanne Perez, and also Jordan Grace being there is technically, I would consider it kind of like an NXT thing as well. That was great. And the fact that Roxanne lasted until nearly the end was genuinely really surprising. I mean, that push is great. I'm glad that she's getting that. Some key features of the whole thing, I thought that Ivy Nile and Jordan Grace did really well in this match. They showed their strengths very well. That's true. Better than last year, because I know Ivy Nile was extremely nervous.
Right.
So she did struggle, but she did a lot better this time. I'm really happy to have seen her eliminate Lyra Valkyria, kind of showing that she could potentially beat Lyra in the future. And I am so down for that because I thought she was great back when she was in the Diamond Mine with the Creed brothers in NXT. Like we said Io was the person we were leaning for. I was really sad when she got eliminated. And, Charlotte winning, although we predicted it, was just not a good look considering her actual physical health. Witnessing that at the show, I felt like that basically degraded all the other women that had lost to her in that match. Okay, Charlotte getting a push as soon as she returns feels very forced and very artificial. Since she is one of the 4 horsewomen and she has her way with title opportunities, a lot of people online are kind of suspecting, because she's kind of a nepo baby of wrestling, that she's getting her way that easily. You know what I mean? An issue for me is that she is my favorite of the 4 horsewomen, but I think just the way that it played out with the fact that she was injured and not genuinely putting on a good performance was very reminiscent of the Elimination Chamber last year with Becky Lynch winning, getting that opportunity. It's basically the same exact thing. They're on the same level in regards to star power, in regards to being a 4 horsewoman and getting all these title opportunities just constantly, right? But I respected Charlotte because she was actually able to adapt to the wrestling style that was ever so evolving. I felt like Becky Lynch doesn't, right? But seeing Charlotte struggling there, not putting on a good performance, I think giving her the win was just such a bad idea because she needs to reestablish herself in the women's like roster that's much bigger than it was than when she was last here. I mean, it's definitely evolved to some degree. And I also don't like that if this is going where I suspect it's going, which is going to be Tiffany versus Charlotte Flair, it feels a little bit rushed as well. I felt like if Charlotte were to win and to have that interaction, there should have been some kind of interaction with Tiffany Stratton prior to her winning the Rumble. You know, that would have been more. There would have been some story behind it, and it would have made it all more special if she actually was able to like prove herself, and then point at Tiffany and go after her. That's the thing that I just didn't like about it. But overall, I'm glad NXT stars were there. That's the main thing for me, and the problem, just the main issue is the fact that she was injured and limping and somehow beat all those other women. I think that it sucks. Io Sky definitely deserves it more than Charlotte, I would say. But yeah, it's just the obvious choice, I guess.
Well, I would actually just say, like, kind of touch base on what you were saying. I actually think that makes sense, that maybe it should have been somebody else that won. And that person that won goes up against Rhea, chooses Rhea.
That's exactly why.
And then Charlotte goes to the Elimination Chamber, and she wins the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, not the Rumble.
Then she can go and she can pick Tiffany Stratton that way. That would have been better. Yeah. Because I don't think Charlotte's going to choose Rhea.
No.
I mean, so it's like she's going to be choosing Tiffany Stratton, which means you're not going to have the build up to it. She's just going to be, it's going to just be like on SmackDown that day. On next Friday, she's going to come in and she's going to be talking to Tiffany Stratton, and she's going to like point to there up in this, to the
she's probably going to be teasing that she's going to try to take it from Rhea since she lost it to Rhea in WrestleMania 39. But then obviously she's going to be like, maybe I should just go for this new blonde chick. Who's like, I'm her idol apparently, that kind of thing. But yeah, Elimination Chamber win would have been much more
makes more sense.
Yeah, she needed to actually like establish herself before the Rumble, but clearly that's not what happened. I also find it really weird too because there's like all these rumors and images of like her moniker changing too as well, Charlotte. But they still were calling her the Queen and stuff, which I'm like,
haven't gotten to it yet.
Okay, but yeah, and also her new moniker is supposed to be Top Girl, which I feel like in some ways is kind of like, it's like what Tiffany Stratton would probably take that one instead. But whatever. The men's Royal Rumble. Do you want me to go first or you go first? Go. You know what? You should go first. I have more thoughts about this one.
Okay, so my opinion of the men's Royal Rumble was that I thought it kind of was a little bit not as exciting.
Yeah.
As regards to like more like NXT type people coming in, because actually nobody from NXT actually came in, not a single person. The things that I did like though is I thought Rey Mysterio and Penta coming at 1 and 2 was freaking pretty awesome. That kind of like establishes that storyline of that's going to be something down the road. They've always said that they were going to have some sort of a rivalry going on. Penta did a good job, other than the one situation where both his feet did touch the floor. I mean, obviously, if you blinked, you probably missed it. I know that probably the people in the back were yelling, and it got to a point where every time Penta was getting tossed over the side and he would grab, it was like you had to hold your breath. It was pretty nervous. I was kind of nervous. Obviously, Jacob Fatu coming in at number 12 was pretty awesome to see him come in. He was doing the work, basically. I mean, I guess like the two biggest things that occurred in that was number 15, obviously, was Joe Henry. That was the highlight of it all. That was amazing to see, and the pop.
I had tears.
The fact that the crowd was really stoked about that, and it was him And then my guy coming in at number 21, AJ Styles. I think Joe Hendry and AJ Styles got the biggest pop out of everybody when they came out, because obviously, it makes sense. AJ Styles came out with his old theme song. He had his old blue gear, the blue trunks that he had when he first came out. Had a nice pyro. The pyro was going on when he freaking did his move where he put his arms up. I mean, the crowd was down with that. And then it just starts getting weird at the end. You have, 16, 17. You got Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre. I mean, so right there's your guys. These are two people that are basically that could possibly win this. You get Cena coming in at 23. Then you get CM Punk coming in at 24. And then Seth Rollins at 25.
Yeah.
So you're basically sitting there going, these are all the guys that are supposedly supposed to win. And it does not happen. And lo and behold, it gets to the end of the Rumble was where I realized this was a crappy Rumble.
Yeah.
28, Damian Priest. 29,
Hey.
LA Knight.
Hey, don't complain.
And
You didn't have those numbers.
30, Logan Paul, which was just...
I totally forgot he was in it.
No legends were in there.
Not a
Not
single
one.
NXT guy.
Not an NXT guy. I mean, and it was like... So when those guys came in, I'm thinking, all right, it's either going to be Roman Reigns... Then Drew gets thrown out. Then Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins both got thrown out by Logan Paul, right?
I believe so. Everyone got out at the same time. It was a big group of them.
Yeah.
Like Punk, Seth.
Yeah, then CM Punk getting tossed out. It was kind of like
that sucks.
It was confusing, and it ends up being.
And it seemed like the direction was maybe going towards more John Cena. At that point,
which would have been at this time would have been okay, but then it ends up being, not that I'm not trying to be mad about this, but like I'm not trying to be a dick either. Jey Uso winning the Rumble to me is, I just feel like it's kind of a waste of the WrestleMania because we all know who he's going up against,
right?
And so, I get it. He has a pop. He's over. The crowd loves him. Everything about his character is working, but I just felt like it wasn't really that it wasn't exciting to have him win. I guess that's just me. But then I guess if I look at the list of all these people that were here, who I would have said that what I thought would have been a better person to win this? Obviously, I would have said Drew McIntyre would have been great. I would have been like.
Don't you dare!
I know. I mean, I would even said if like a Finn Balor victory would have been pretty awesome, or it would have been just to throw a real a monkey wrench in everything, and it'd be like Jacob Fatu winning would be.
That would have been awesome too.
That would have been something that I think the crowd would have been like, holy crap, because for that reason. So I would give the men's Royal Rumble. I would probably give it a 3. I mean, you had some of its moments. The AJ Styles and Joe Hendry thing was probably the best thing that occurred in that whole thing, to be honest. If going through the list here, yeah, I think those were the two best things that happened.
Well, for the women's one, I agree with you with like a 3.5. I'm gonna give a 2.5 to this men's one though. 2 points for Joe Hendry being there and 0.5 for AJ Styles coming back with his old intro and everything like that, and Jacob Fatu for doing some cool shit, and for Braun Breaker spearing Speed the way that he did.
I forgot to mention
that was a very good moment. Yeah. Very good moment. But my God, I hated this. Other than all those things, obviously there's 17 announced participants. Not one, actually only one was not from the main roster of the 13 unannounced ones, which was Joe Hendry, and he was the highlight of the whole night. They could have totally used and should have used NXT talent like the Women's Rumble did. That's what made it great. The Rumble is basically the perfect place for them to showcase these new future talents that they have. And they have so many capable ones. They got fucking Trick Williams, which I kept begging for yesterday. Please bring Trick Williams. No, didn't happen. Obafemi, because Julia showed up. That would have made a lot of sense. No, didn't happen. Maybe even Ethan Page. Didn't even happen. There's just so many people aside from that they could have totally put in there. But no. I get it. They wanted to prioritize having the big superstars in the show, and maybe this is because I'm a little bit biased, and I tend to not really like these big superstars, and it just so happens that the one that I really do like just never wins, which is Drew McIntyre. It sucks. It was just not a Rumble for me. But the thing that irked me most about this whole thing was the fact that there was no NXT people, no new faces at all besides Joe Hendry. That's the worst of it. But like I said before, with John Cena losing, it just makes sense to me because he could easily, like I said, get a farewell match at Mania without having to win the Rumble. However, he did also announce that he's going to be partaking in the Elimination Chamber in the post interview thing or the press conference, and it kind of makes me upset too because immediately when I saw Punk get eliminated, I'm like, okay, that's fine. He has a shot at Elimination Chamber because now that Jay is showing, or Jay won, he's most likely gonna go for Gunther, and then Punk gets a shot against Cody, right? That makes the most sense. But then you think about it too. This is something I heard from WrestleMania, and it did kind of put a good it made a lot of sense. But definitely people that are going to be partaking in this Elimination Chamber, aside from John Cena, who has already announced it, is most definitely Punk, Seth, and also Roman as well. And that's gonna, and
That's
that doesn't,
for the Elimination Chamber.
I think so. That's what they're saying, and it makes a lot of sense. And also Seth Rollins. I don't know if I said Seth Rollins. But, or I probably did. But of those people, like, there's just, I expect it because, you know, Triple H is always like, oh, biggest this ever. And since he's prioritizing these superstars, clearly it's going to be a stacked Elimination Chamber for the men. I prefer Punk to win this one. But either way, out of all those men, I think only Seth Rollins would be the one, or possibly be more likely to go against Gunther, maybe, but I also believe he would go for Cody as well. So of Roman, Punk, John Cena, and Seth Rollins, they're all pretty much capable of picking Cody, which makes it more likely that Jay is going to be picking Gunther.
Well, I think everybody except Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins would be choosing Gunther, and I think everybody else would actually be going for Cody.
That I think that there's some inkling in Seth that he might go the other way around. But as for Jey Uso being the winner, like, I'm not upset. I'm more conflicted. Like, on both hands, I'm really not that happy. Because on one, I'm fine with Jay getting the shot because he's been the face of the company, specifically for Raw. For a very long time, he has the top merch sales, and he often loses despite being in the big picture. I like that Cena put him over because Cena breaking his record, and being champion again for a presumably short run feels very pointless. That's coming from someone who respects Cena but is not he's not my favorite. You know what I mean? So you could take that as whatever. Like, I don't have a bias or preference towards him. I feel like, and I don't hate him at all either. I just think I have like a good like perspective on Cena in regards to him breaking his record, because I don't think it really matters if he does it or not. It just because it's a farewell thing doesn't mean he has to go all out. I know he has had a very successful career and stuff, but who's to say that it isn't already a feat that he's doing matches like these at the age that he is, and also having not been in wrestling for a while, you know?
Right.
And yeah, on the other hand, though, for Jay, I truly and deeply hope this does not mean he beats Gunther, although I'm pretty sure that's likely, because why else would you have him win? But I believe in some cases Triple H would seriously mess up Gunther's image, because he's only been defeated by 4 other men, which is Ilya Dragunov, Braun Breaker, Sami Zayn, and technically Chad Gable at some point.
Right.
I just don't see Jay on the level of any of those guys, and that's coming from someone who is a certified Sami Zayn hater. Sami Zayn is better than Jey Uso, I'm sorry. And, however, I do rethink things, though, because Jey Uso also did beat Ilya Dragunov in the Intercontinental Tournament just a year ago, I was not happy about it, but it speaks volumes of how much they prioritize Jay, especially in the picture of defeating Gunther. So it's likely, but that won't make me happy either way. And also, I just feel like if Jay defeats Gunther at WrestleMania 41, it's gonna feel completely unrealistic. That's just my opinion, though, because I also felt that when Sami Zayn defeated Gunther, I was like, that makes no sense. But Jay, on the other hand, that just makes even less sense for me. And that's coming from someone who has seen Jay versus Gunther in real life as well, and a lot of Jay Uso matches.
We've seen so many.
It's been the main event for every show we've gone to.
Yeah.
So, I was also watching WrestleMania. He made a video just recently talking about why Jey Uso was the winner, okay? And this thing did make sense to me, okay? So he was saying that it would create like an suspense over who he would pick, which I feel like at that point we kind of know it's pretty obvious who he's gonna pick. But he did point out saying like, yeah, Gunther's the obvious choice, but like it just makes you wonder, would he go for Cody? But then I make a comparison to the other people that are the more potential candidates, and they seem the most likely to go after Cody Rhodes. So I just don't see Jay being the guy to go for Cody, instead going for Gunther. But he did say that Jay's win could actually fuel more intrigue over the bloodline storyline, and that potentially The Rock could show up to coerce Jay to sacrifice his spot for Roman Reigns, much like he did for himself at WrestleMania against for Cody's Royal Rumble win opportunity. Which I was like, hey, that's a good idea.
That's a good, interesting fight.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, it is.
And I assume that if that is the case, that would have to most definitely happen before the Elimination Chamber.
True.
Which is happening pretty soon, so it's gonna happen within this month. Yeah. If that's the case, because there's just no way that Jay could be like, oh, I'm gonna fight Gunther, and then Roman take his spot after the Chamber and be like, oh, I'm gonna, like, if he loses the Chamber, he would be like, oh, can I have your spot like via The Rock, and then choose Cody, which makes no sense because the Elimination Chamber guy is probably gonna pick Cody instead. Just very weird crossover. But if that does happen, it will likely happen soon. He also mentioned something pretty funny as well. He said that Cena, like securing the spot at the Elimination Chamber already, and also basically demanding his spot at WrestleMania and saying that it's best for business in order to break his record, comes across as a heel move, which it does feel a lot like a heel kind of thing because it seems very arrogant.
Yeah, kind of.
But yeah. Then lastly was just what I said before, is that he points out that it's likely that Punk, Seth, and Reigns will also make their way to the Elimination Chamber. That should be very interesting. I think if that's the case, if that's how it's going to go, I'm most likely going to be going for Punk in that regard over Cena. Personally, I just think let the man's dreams come true. He's older as true. Well. And yeah, that's basically it. I just did not like it. I mean, like, Jay was just underwhelming at best when it came to his win. We also mentioned too in the video when we made our predictions, I even said that Jey Uso was in it and him winning would not be that far off, and that's exactly what happened. We pretty much thought that was also possible, although the further we were getting into that match, I felt like, no, it's not happening, no. And then it did, and in the weakest way possible too, like a little kick to the gut, and pretty much that was it.
It was what it was. I mean, it's hopefully the Elimination Chamber is better.
It sucks. I have not been disappointed by a Rumble in a long time. Last time I was disappointed by a Rumble was when Roman Reigns won.
That's true.
But that was because I was a little kid who hated Roman Reigns. But now that I know a lot more, this decision is pretty foolish, and it seems like I'm not the only one, because I couldn't come across a single positive comment for either of the winners. But more so, Charlotte Flair got more of the hate. And a lot of people were upset that Alexa Bliss and also Jordynne Grace did not last longer.
Right.
Which is true. And, when we did the raffle, though, I got such shit people. It's not even funny. Like, the best people I got for men's was AJ, which was my best one. And Sami Zayn, of all people, I got. And I also got Damian Priest. That's it. I didn't get anybody good after that. I pretty much got fucking speed, which was terrible. For the women, oh man, for the women, who the fuck did I even have? Like I had like nobody. I had a lot of jobbers.
Yeah.
I even made a joke too because I was getting such like obviously they're not gonna win people, that I was like, if I'm gonna be consistent, and I had like my second to last number. I said I'm gonna get Candice LeRae if I'm gonna be consistent. Sure enough, that's exactly who I got. But yeah, Roxanne Perez was my best person. Other than that, I had like Zoe Stark, Michin, Natalia. I mean, no hate to them, but they were not gonna win that Rumble. And surely I did not win. My mom won both Rumbles. How unfair is that? She wins all of them. The only time I won was when Edge and Bianca Belair won in 2021. Those are the two people I had, and I also had Cody Rhodes in 2023. Yeah, super unfair, but that's not why I'm mad at the Rumble. Because I had bad luck, but yeah, just not a good Rumble. It makes me a little bit scared for what is to come for this year, because I feel like it's kind of bad juju that it started off this poorly, and that they also could not see clearly that this is not the outcome that people really wanted. I mean, especially with Charlotte and her condition, they could have just easily been like, oh, damn, let's switch this up because you're clearly limping. And yeah, not very good. Triple H, I get it. You want to hype up your pay-per-views, but please stop saying that it's going to be the best one yet when it clearly isn't. Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good one.
Let us know what you think, by the way.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.